The stars hold countless secret stories of survival, extinction, and resilience. But one secret, buried for millennia, reveals humanity's unparalleled place in the cosmos. Imagine a pathogen so ancient, so lethal, it could wipe out every intelligent species in the galaxy. Now imagine a single exception, a species that survives against all odds. What makes them different? Why were they spared? This is the story of humanity's darkest triumph in an unforgiving galaxy. In the year 2342, humanity's interstellar explorers reached our axis, a planet that had once been a vibrant hub of alien civilization. It was a world spoken of in the fragmented whispers of galactic archaeology, a place said to have rivaled Earth's most advanced metropolises. The explorers, prepared for first contact with an intelligent species, instead found desolation. Towering spires of alien architecture loomed over empty streets. Automated systems, still faintly operational, hummed with eerie consistency, performing tasks for a population that no longer existed. There were no signs of war, no scars of environmental collapse, just an overwhelming, suffocating absence of life. At first, the findings were chalked up to an isolated tragedy. Planets, no matter how advanced, were not immune to catastrophe. But as humanity pushed further into the stars, the pattern became impossible to ignore. One planet after another bore the same haunting signature. Monuments to thriving civilization stood untouched, preserved like ghostly memorials. Machinery functioned as if it were awaiting the return of its creators. But there was no one left to come home. Some worlds had died centuries ago, their surfaces covered in dust and decay. Others seemed disturbingly recent, tables still set for meals, clothing neatly folded, and starships left mid-construction. Scientists and historians were baffled. The sheer scale of the devastation defied any known natural disaster or plausible sequence of events. The diversity of alien species discovered across these worlds suggested no shared biology, no shared culture, and no reason for a singular fate. Yet all had been eradicated with the same chilling precision. The absence of mass destruction ruled out warfare. The untouched ecosystems eliminated environmental collapse. Humanity's explorers had prepared for interstellar diplomacy, trade, and even the possibility of conflict, or they were unprepared for silence. Each new discovery sent ripples of unease through Earth's colonies and scientific communities. Theories abounded, ranging from cosmic predators to the intervention of some unfathomable superintelligence. But there was no evidence of hostile entities, no remnants of weapons, and no grand narratives carved into alien ruins explaining their doom. Humanity stood alone, not in coexistence but in solitude, surrounded by the graves of civilizations far older and far more advanced. A breakthrough came when the crew of the Erebus, exploring a derelict research station near the Sagittarian Rift, unearthed a crucial clue. The station's databanks, surprisingly intact, contained encrypted logs that told a horrifying story. Their creators, known only by a glyph humans could not translate, had cataloged their extinction in desperate detail. The record spoke of something unstoppable, a phenomenon that swept through the galaxy like wildfire. Its name was Virus Primus. The derelict alien research station orbiting a dim red dwarf star was a find unlike any other. It drifted in silence, its once glimmering hull battered by time and micrometeoroid impacts. To the crew of the Erebus, it was a treasure trove of possibilities, a chance to unravel the mysteries of the dead civilizations humanity had been stumbling upon. Upon boarding the station, they found its interiors eerily preserved. The air was thin but breathable, held in place by automated life support systems that had miraculously endured the ages. Dim lights flickered across consoles, casting long shadows over the hauntingly empty corridors. Whatever had happened here, it hadn't destroyed the facility itself. The first major discovery came in the form of data logs buried deep within the station's archives. It took weeks to decrypt even a fraction of the information, but the initial findings were staggering. The researchers who had once lived here had been studying an extinction event, one that had spread with terrifying speed across the galaxy. The data painted a picture of panic and despair as one species after another fell to an unstoppable force. Their scientists called it Virus Primus. It wasn't just a pathogen, it was a biological executioner, engineered with precision so deadly it seemed almost deliberate. The virus had been described in clinical detail. It targeted the cellular architecture shared by all intelligent life, a design humans now realized was shockingly uniform across the galaxy. This uniformity, likely the result of convergent evolution, had been a boon for galactic civilizations for millennia. It allowed species to share food, medicines, and even genetic engineering technologies. But Virus Primus exploited this shared biology with devastating efficiency. It was programmed or perhaps evolved to dismantle life at its most fundamental level, bypassing immune systems and leaving no chance of survival. Within weeks of infection, populations collapsed completely. As humanity's scientists pored over the station's logs, the true scope of the catastrophe became apparent. The records chronicled the virus's relentless advance. One by one, species that had thrived for tens of thousands of years were wiped out. The researchers had tried everything: quarantine protocols, vaccines, even desperate measures to alter their own DNA. But nothing worked. The virus mutated faster than they could respond, adapting to every countermeasure with horrifying speed. In their final transmissions, the aliens aboard the station spoke of watching their own people succumb, their society unraveling into chaos as the virus claimed its last victims. Yet one piece of information stood out. In all the records of Virus Primus, no mention was made of Earth or humans. To the alien researchers, humanity didn't exist. The virus had burned through the galaxy long before humans had ever left their home planet. This revelation sent a chilling wave of questions through Earth's scientific community. Why had humanity survived when no other species had? And what had unleashed this ancient killer in the first place? The discovery that Virus Primus had targeted a universal biological blueprint sent shockwaves through Earth's scientific community. For years, humanity had believed itself to be part of a vast galactic family, a tapestry of intelligent species, connected by shared evolutionary principles. But now, that very similarity had proven to be the undoing of every other civilization. The idea that humanity alone had survived was both a miracle and a mystery, one that demanded immediate answers. What made humans different? Why had they escaped the grip of a pathogen designed to annihilate intelligent life? The answer lay in humanity's DNA, a map of genetic history that held secrets stretching back millions of years. Teams of geneticists and biologists from across Earth's colonies worked around the clock, comparing human genetic data to the information recovered from the alien station. At first, the differences seemed minor, subtle variations in proteins, enzymes, and cellular structures. But then, a breakthrough came. Embedded deep within the human genome was a sequence that didn't match anything found in the galactic database recovered from the station. It was an anomaly, a quirk of evolution that had gone unnoticed until now. This genetic signature wasn't just unique, it was ancient. Tracing it back through evolutionary history, scientists discovered its origins in a long-extinct retrovirus that had infected early hominins millions of years ago. This ancient virus had integrated itself into the DNA of humanity's ancestors, altering their genetic code in ways that had seemed insignificant at the time. But now, that alteration appeared to be the key to humanity's survival. The retrovirus had fundamentally changed how human cells interacted with certain proteins, making them incompatible with the mechanisms used by Virus Primus to replicate and spread. In essence, humanity's genetic immunity was an accident, a lucky twist of fate that had set humans apart from every other intelligent species in the galaxy. While other species had evolved along similar lines, converging on a shared biological framework, humans had taken a detour millions of years ago. That detour, born of an ancient viral infection, had saved the species from extinction before they even knew the threat existed. The implications were staggering. Humanity's immunity was not the result of superior biology or divine intervention, it was pure chance. A single, random event in prehistory had created a shield that protected humanity while countless others perished. But this revelation raised unsettling questions. If humanity's survival was an accident, what did that say about its place in the cosmos? Was it a species destined to inherit the galaxy, or simply the last one standing in an empty universe? As scientists delved deeper into the mystery, the answer grew darker and more complex, hinting at an even greater truth lurking behind the extinction. Among the alien records recovered from the derelict research station was something unexpected, a heavily encrypted message that stood apart from the other logs. It was buried within the databanks, as though it had been deliberately hidden, its file architecture resembling a locked vault. When the encryption was finally broken, the contents sent shockwaves through humanity's scientific community. It was not a record of research. but a message, a desperate warning from a species long dead, written in the cold, analytical tone of beings who knew they had no future. The message described a species that humanity would come to call the primogenitors, believed to be one of the galaxy's earliest civilizations. Advanced beyond imagining, they had shaped much of the galaxy's early history, seeding technologies and infrastructures that countless younger species would later inherit. But their legacy was not one of creation, it was one of destruction. According to the message, the primogenitors had unleashed Virus Primus upon the galaxy as a weapon of ultimate vengeance. The story began with a galactic war, one that spanned millennia and consumed entire star systems. The primogenitors, once rulers of a sprawling empire, found themselves besieged by a coalition of younger civilizations that had grown resentful of their dominance. Outnumbered and overwhelmed, the primogenitors were pushed to the brink of extinction. Faced with inevitable defeat, they made a choice that would echo across the galaxy for millions of years. If they could not rule, no one would. In their final days, the primogenitors turned their scientific brilliance toward creating a biological weapon unlike any other. They engineered Virus Primus to target the shared genetic traits of intelligent life, ensuring that any species advanced enough to pose a threat would be eradicated. The virus was released into the galaxy as their empire crumbled, spreading silently and relentlessly. The primogenitors had calculated its effects with precision, knowing it would spare ecosystems and leave worlds intact, ensuring that their ruins would remain as unclaimed monuments to their greatness. And then they too succumbed to their own creation, willingly accepting their extinction as the price of their vengeance. But there was one flaw in their plan, a flaw they could never have predicted: humanity. At the time Virus Primus swept through the galaxy, humans were still confined to a single planet, their ancestors just beginning to tame fire. The primogenitors had no knowledge of Earth, no way of accounting for the ancient viral quirk that had rendered humans immune. To them, their revenge was perfect and absolute. Yet millions of years later, their carefully laid plans had left the galaxy barren, with humanity emerging as the sole survivors in a void of silence. The message ended with a final, cryptic line: "The galaxy belongs to no one. To inherit it is a curse." Scientists debated its meaning, but one thing was clear: the primogenitors had not only doomed their enemies, but had created a legacy of desolation. Their revenge had been so complete, so final, that it left no room for life to recover. For humanity, the question now was whether to rebuild in the wake of such devastation, or to heed the warning embedded in the ruins of the past. As humanity began to understand the full scope of what had happened to the galaxy, a new era of exploration dawned. The planets left behind by extinct civilizations weren't merely ruins, they were treasure troves of knowledge, technology, and resources. Starships ventured into abandoned systems, discovering entire fleets of advanced vessels left dormant in orbit, massive databanks filled with alien science, and cities brimming with innovations that far surpassed anything humanity had developed. For all the tragedy left in the wake of Virus Primus, there was undeniable opportunity. The galaxy had become a graveyard, and humanity was its only inheritor. But the silence of these worlds was unnerving. On one planet, explorers found vast factories still running, producing goods for a population that no longer existed. On another, a communications array continued to broadcast a looping message, a frantic call for help that had gone unanswered for thousands of years. The further humanity ventured, the more they uncovered unsettling evidence of just how rapidly these civilizations had fallen. In many cases, the transition from thriving societies to extinction had occurred in less than a year. The virus had moved faster than anyone could comprehend, leaving no chance for evacuation, resistance, or survival. Yet, even as humanity claimed the remnants of the fallen, unease began to grow. The ruins were too pristine, too untouched by time. Without intelligent species to steward them, ecosystems flourished unchecked, but the relics of civilization stood as if frozen in time. Some researchers speculated that Virus Primus might still linger on these worlds, dormant but waiting for the right conditions to re-emerge. Though humans were immune, the idea of an ancient pathogen surviving in the ruins added a layer of tension to every mission. Teams wore protective suits despite their immunity, and no samples from alien worlds were allowed to return to Earth. What unnerved explorers most, however, was the sheer number of civilizations that had been extinguished. Humanity's early ventures into the galaxy had uncovered only a fraction of the species wiped out by the virus. As more data came to light, it became clear that Virus Primus hadn't just targeted technologically advanced species, it had annihilated any intelligent life capable of developing culture, leaving even fledgling civilizations in ruins. This explained why so many planets appeared to have been abandoned mid-progress, as if their inhabitants had simply vanished overnight. The deeper humanity explored, the more a haunting question began to emerge. Had others, like humans, survived in isolated corners of the galaxy? Or had every other species been perfectly targeted by Virus Primus? On the edges of explored space, scientists began to search for signs of other survivors. Perhaps there were species that had managed to quarantine themselves, hiding in the shadows until the pandemic burned itself out, yet every lead ended in silence. Each discovery brought both promise and dread. Advanced technologies, unimaginable wealth, and the potential for interstellar dominance lay within reach. But the magnitude of the loss entire histories and cultures wiped away hung over every mission. Humanity stood as the inheritor of an empty galaxy. But the silence of the stars felt less like an opportunity and more like an accusation. They were alive, not because of superiority or divine favor, but because of a biological fluke. The galaxy was theirs to claim. But the question remained, would it welcome them? Or had humanity been left alone for a reason? As humanity pushed deeper into the void, questions of morality and purpose began to overshadow the exhilaration of discovery. What did it mean to inherit a galaxy that had been stripped of its inhabitants? It was humanity destined to repeat the mistakes of the civilizations that had come before, or could it carve a different path? The weight of responsibility hung heavily on the shoulders of scientists, leaders, and explorers. The ruins of alien worlds were not just lifeless, they were hauntingly personal. Entire cities, monuments, and works of art spoke of vibrant cultures that had been extinguished in a matter of weeks. With every new discovery, humanity was reminded of the fragility of its own existence. The silence of the galaxy began to feel oppressive. The absence of any living species created an eerie sense of isolation. Explorers often reported a strange unease as they walked through the empty streets of alien cities or explored towering structures whose purpose they could only guess at. It was as if the ruins themselves mourned the loss of their creators, their presence a constant reminder of how suddenly life could be snuffed out. Despite humanity's immunity to Virus Primus, the specter of extinction loomed large. The fact that survival had been due to a fluke or random genetic mutation buried in the distant past was both humbling and terrifying. The galaxy had not chosen humanity. It had simply failed to notice them. And yet there was one discovery that would change everything. On a distant planet orbiting a blue giant star, an exploratory team stumbled upon something truly unexpected. A signal. Weak and intermittent, it pulsed from beneath the planet's surface, its origin hidden beneath layers of rock and metal. The team assumed at first it was an automated system, perhaps an emergency beacon or a piece of long-forgotten machinery still carrying out its programming. But when the signal was decoded, it revealed something far more shocking. It was a message, and it wasn't old. The signal contained a series of repeating data packets, a mixture of alien text and mathematical equations. Most of the text was indecipherable, but one section stood out: coordinates. It was an invitation, a plea for contact, sent from what appeared to be an underground facility. This wasn't the echo of a civilization long gone. It was alive, and it was calling for help. The implications were staggering. Could this be evidence of a species that had survived the virus, perhaps by retreating deep underground or isolating themselves in some other way? Or was it something else entirely, some remnant of the primogenitors or a trap left behind to lure survivors into a final act of vengeance? The signal was too faint to reveal its full origin or purpose, but it was enough to ignite hope and fear. Humanity now faced a choice. They had the technology to reach the coordinates, but the risks were enormous. If the signal was genuine, it could lead to an alliance with another surviving species, a chance to rebuild a galaxy shattered by loss. But if it was a remnant of the primogenitors, or worse, a mutated strain of Virus Primus, it could unleash consequences that humanity was ill-equipped to handle. The decision to investigate was not made lightly, but curiosity and the desire for answers proved too strong to resist. The expedition was launched, a crew sent to uncover the truth behind the signal. What they would find there would change humanity's understanding of its place in the cosmos forever. The expedition to the coordinates took months of preparation. The starship Helios, equipped with humanity's most advanced technology, was tasked with the mission. Its crew, composed of scientists, engineers, and explorers, knew they were heading into the unknown. As the ship approached the distant planet, the signal grew stronger, more coherent, pulsing like a heartbeat from beneath the surface. The world itself was barren, a wasteland of jagged rock and freezing winds, with no signs of life on the surface. But beneath the desolation lay something hidden, something that had defied the grip of Virus Primus for countless millennia. The Helios descended into the planet's atmosphere, scanning for an entry point. After hours of searching, they discovered an enormous metallic structure buried beneath the surface. It was clearly artificial, an ancient bunker that had withstood the ravages of time. A single access point, partially buried under layers of debris, beckoned them forward. The team landed and prepared to enter, their equipment calibrated to detect any trace of Virus Primus, even if dormant. Although humans were immune, the crew understood the stakes. One wrong move could reactivate a dormant threat or awaken something far worse. Inside, the bunker was unlike anything they had ever seen. The walls were lined with intricate patterns of alien script, glowing faintly with energy from systems that had been operational for centuries. The structure was massive, descending deep into the planet's crust, its corridors winding in labyrinthine patterns. As they moved deeper, the signal grew louder, its rhythm echoing in their helmets like the pulse of a living thing. The air was thick with tension, every step feeling like they were intruding on a forbidden place. Finally, they reached the source of the signal, a colossal chamber at the heart of the facility. In the center of the room stood a structure resembling an obelisk, its surface covered in alien carvings. Suspended within it was something unexpected. A figure. It was humanoid, but distinctly alien, encased in a transparent shell filled with a shimmering, amber-colored liquid. The figure appeared to be in stasis, its features serene and unchanging. Around the chamber, holographic projections flickered to life, displaying images of galaxies, star systems, and alien species, all of them now extinct. The obelisk emitted a low hum as the holograms converged, displaying a single message in a language that humanity's algorithms struggled to translate. Slowly, the words resolved into something comprehensible. Last witness. This being, whoever or whatever it was, had survived the cataclysm. The projections revealed that it was one of the original architects of the galaxy's civilizations, a member of a species older even than the primogenitors. It had placed itself in stasis to record the final moments of the galaxy's collapse, to serve as a testament to what had been lost. But as the crew began to study the figure, another revelation emerged. The obelisk's systems detected the presence of humanity and responded. Holograms revealed data on Earth, information about humans that the galaxy should not have known. The primogenitors, it seemed, had been aware of Earth all along. Humanity hadn't merely been overlooked by Virus Primus. They had been spared. The virus, designed with surgical precision, had excluded humans for reasons unknown. The crew returned to the Helios with more questions than answers. The last witness remained in its stasis chamber, untouched for now. Humanity had proof of its improbable survival and a chilling hint of its role in a galaxy-wide tragedy. But one question lingered above all. Why had they been spared? What role were they meant to play in the wake of such devastation? As the Helios departed the barren world, the stars around them seemed less welcoming, more foreboding. Humanity had inherited the galaxy, but the truth of why would haunt them forever. Humanity's survival is no accident, it's a quirk of evolution, a stroke of luck in the vast, uncaring cosmos. But as we take our place among the stars, one question remains: will we learn from the past, or are we destined to repeat it?